March 1st, everybody. Yep, today is March 1st, and today is technically
meteorological spring.
Today is the first day of meteorological spring. That's a mouthful of word, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you guys so much for the support, for us being on camera. It was very nerve-wracking for me. The chef, he's just kind of like, yeah, he's good with it. He's good with it. And, you know, it really wasn't as terrible as I thought. So we will definitely be doing it more often. But today we're going to focus on making my Italian meatballs. So I hope you guys like these. If there's anything in this recipe that you don't like and you want to know if there's a substitution for or whatever, then just leave a message in the comment section and we can omit that. Also, we're working on the giveaway. I know everybody uses this random picker. I don't know if I can do that on my phone, but I'm concerned because I don't think we like for everybody to see when we do the drawing because we want it to be fair. So on the random picker, with us only having the one phone, you guys wouldn't be able to see what we're actually doing. So, we're thinking about just having people leave a certain comment. We'll take everybody that leaves that comment. We'll write their names down on paper, and we'll just do our drawing like we always do. That way we can do it on camera. You can see the name that the chef draws out, and it's fair. We just like it to... We like it to be that way. We just feel more comfortable with that. But we know it's going to be for a $25 Visa gift card. And tomorrow is going to be a little bit different kind of day, so we'll probably do it tomorrow. We'll probably we'll do the contest tomorrow. It's only going to be a 24-hour thing. You leave a comment tomorrow, and then we'll pick it the next day. That sounds, or within 48 hours or something like that. We'll give more details tomorrow. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's get on to doing these meatballs because me and the chef are both hungry. I've had a little coffee, which you guys know I'm not a big coffee drinker. But when I lost 240 pounds years ago, coffee was one of my go-tos. It helps speed up the metabolism. Helps you go to the potty a little bit more.
Tell them how much weight you've lost now.
Yeah, I weighed today. Yesterday I had lost 5.4 pounds in 2 days. I weighed again today, and I've been taking pictures of the scale. Today I weighed, and I lost another I've lost 8.2 pounds in 3 days. So we're on a good roll. The chef has lost over 25 pounds. So we're not making this a weight loss channel. I don't want to confuse anybody because a lot of the recipes that we make are not going to be diet foods. Because me and the chef are carb cycling, and we're going to treat ourselves because we feel it tricks the body when you do that. You know, you do so many days of lowering your carbs, and then you do a day where you're eating normal. So it kind of tricks your body up a little bit. So when you go back to doing the low carb, then you start to lose a little bit more weight. So that's what we're doing, but definitely not just a weight loss channel. But we are going to bring you guys along on the journey along the way. And you know what? Spring is technically the 20th. So not long until spring. We're excited about that, happy about that. We have some great recipes for the summer that we're going to do. Chef's going to be cooking outside in his cast iron pot. We're going to be we have this adorable pie that we're going to make. It's a layered pie, and it's so adorable, and it's easy to make, so you guys could make it for any cookouts you have or anything like that, because
Great when it's hot outside.
Yeah, it's great for when it's hot outside, and we're trying to feel positive over this COVID situation. We're hoping that it gets better, but you know what, y'all? When we were at the store yesterday, the chef ran into the Dollar Tree, and a family of 5 went in with absolutely no masks on, hovering around people. It's like, I don't feel like it's still safe enough to be going without a mask, so we're still using caution. We're going to continue to wear our masks, sanitizing and social distancing until we absolutely feel comfortable with it. To each their own, you know, we don't judge. You guys do whatever you feel comfortable with, but that's what we personally feel comfortable with at this point in time. So, enough blah, blah, blah. You know, Penguin's got a big mouth, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of background noise going on because we got the air fryer going on. We're having a salad. with our dinner, and Chef's making some croutons in that. So, and he's also boiling some, he's going to be boiling some of our carbonara noodles. You guys can certainly have spaghetti noodles. That's what it's all about. But we're doing our lower carb carbonara noodles that we rave about so much because they're just fantastic. And we'll show you a picture at the end of this video what our dinner looks like. Okay, let's get into the ingredients now. Over here in this bag right here, I took it out of the freezer. I have 1.5 pounds of ground beef. You can use ground chuck if you want it a little more lean, but we're just using ground beef. In this right here, this is my go-to. I told you in the haul, this is Bob Evans Italian sausage. You can use Bob Evans, Tennessee Pride, Jimmy Dean, whatever you want. Just make sure you get the Italian sausage. If you have the Italian brats in your freezer, take them out, thaw them out, pull the casings off, and you can use that. I would recommend using about 4 Italian sausages if you use them that way. Just make sure you pull the casings off to get them mixed in. Got a couple of eggs here. I've got some dried parsley. If you have fresh parsley, that's better, but I don't have any more. I've used all of mine, so we're going to be using some dried parsley. I've got my go-to McCormick's Italian seasoning. I recommend McCormick's because to me it has the best flavor. Some Italian seasonings are just too potent, but we like McCormick's. Here I've got my grated parmesan-romano and Asiago cheese. Normally I just use the parmesan and romano, but if all you have is parmesan, just use that. It's still going to give you that extra flavor you're looking for. I would recommend using the parmesan and romano. You can buy it at Meijer, Walmart. Aldi even sells the parmesan and romano because the romano cheese just, it has more flavor than just the parmesan alone. So we got this. We've got salt. We're going to use some Himalayan pink salt. You can use white table salt. And we've got our pepper. What else you're going to need, and we're doing a little alteration. I've got some garlic here, some minced garlic. We're going to be using a little bit of that. And normally, if we're not watching our carbs, we're going to use this. This is just Walmart's brand of Italian-style breadcrumbs. This is what I normally use. But today, we're not going to be using this. Today, I'm going to be using a slice and a half of our zero carb bread. So we're just cutting out a few extra carbs because pretty much everything else in this recipe has nil carbs. So not enough to even worry about. So I'm going to be using a slice and a half of this as opposed to using half a cup of these Italian breadcrumbs. So I'm going to get the camera situated. I'm going to get my hands washed and we're going to get to making these meatballs. Okay, ladies and gents, let's get to making our meatballs. Italiano and meatball. Oh, and also we're going to be, what I do is, I should explain this probably first. I make my meatballs. I fry them partially in a pan. I brown them on all sides in a frying pan, no oil because the meat has enough fat in it itself. I brown them in a pan. And then after that, I transfer them into a pot that I have sauce in. So we're going to be using the Pioneer Woman sausage and peppers pasta sauce. Because actually this has less carbs in it than the Walmart brand. It has less carbs in it than the Ragu, no sugar added. Plus it tastes better. Plus, like I said, you get this neat measuring jar that we talked about in a video of ours before. You get to keep this cool jar after you're all done. So, yeah, it's a little bit more pricey. I know it's like I think at Walmart it's something like $3.47 a jar or something like that. But trust me, if you guys haven't tried it, it's more than worth it. It's really, really, really great sauce. She's got a few different flavors. Yeah, plus the chef is going to be tweaking up our sauce a little bit as we're making the meatballs. All right, so hands all washed, bowl on deck. So, I'm starting to sound like Sarah Jane from Sarah Jane's Journey. She always says paper towel on deck. Whenever she's doing a mukbang, she always has her paper towel on deck. Oh, and I wanted to say another thing that's been helping us. We've been doing a little bit of chair yoga and things like that. Couch yoga, chair yoga. I know it sounds odd, but we have, and it's been really helping. And I know that I've talked about her channel before. But please go check out Peaceful Potato Yoga. That's Peaceful Potato Yoga. And I'll put a link to her channel in the description box along with my recipe. But she is just the most adorable, and she has the most helpful yoga sessions. She has yoga sessions for people that maybe can't move around as much or aren't as flexible. Right now with the issue with my back and my knee, the chair yoga and the couch yoga is really great. I can get down on the floor and do some of her other yoga moves too, but I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It'll help clear your mind and make your body feel so much better. But again, that's Peaceful Potato Yoga. Just wanted to give her a shout out. And also, I know I keep rambling, sorry guys, but there's this little guy that we watch, Manny Polig. The last part is spelled P-O-L-I-G. First name is Manny, M-A-N-N-Y. And you should go check out his channel too, because he does all different kinds of things. He shows you tips for your iPhone, ways you can do little different things or find out different things. He shows you around where he's from. He just does all different kinds of things, and he's funny. We just love Manny. And I'll also leave a link for his channel in the description box. It's always good to check out other people's channels from other countries, because you always learn something. And we just adore Manny. So many channels that I want to shout out to, and we'll get to more shout outs definitely, but those are the two I wanted to focus on right now, was the Peaceful Potato Yoga and Manny Polig. So, all right, back to our meatballs. Got my ground beef in here. Now I'm going to open up my sausage, and again, you can use any brand. If you have an off brand in your store that's Italian sausage, you can use it. If your store sells fresh Italian sausage, by all means, buy the fresh. But you know, there's nothing fancy about me and the chef. I think we showed that last night on camera. Nothing fancy about us. So we're just using packaged Italian seasoning, Italian sausage. And it smells so good. Love, love, love Bob Evans, Tennessee Pride, and Jimmy Dean. I just got to get it. Don't you just love how all this sausage gets caught in the end? Like, that's a waste right there. Always scrape all that out. Get all that goodness out of there for sure. I'm going to finish doing this, and then I'm going to have to wash my hands because I got a little sausage on my hands, and we'll be right back. All right, got my hands all washed up now. Got all the sausage. I'm just taking my knife and just chopping this log of Italian sausage up a little bit, so just make it a little easier when I go to mix it. Just chop, 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 chop. Isn't that what they say? Chop, chop. That's what you guys are probably saying right now. Shut up, penguin. Chop, chop. Get to making those daggone meatballs. What are we going to do? Starve over here? If you guys had to depend on me, you'd probably starve for sure. Okay, camera. Arm in front of the camera. You don't need to toast your bread to put it in here. We're just going to do... I've got a slice. You want about a half a cup of breadcrumbs, or in our case, about a half a cup of bread. So I'm just going to break this up into little pieces here. Don't have to cut it up, nothing fancy about it. See, my hands always block the camera. Ugh. Anyway, you guys get the gist. Breaking this up in here. This just adds a little something to your meatballs. Gives it a little bit texture. Keeps it a little bit more moist. Nobody wants to bite into a dry, icky meatball. So, get this. These meatballs make great Italian subs. I like to sometimes I'll just take them. I like to eat the meatballs just by themselves.
I've taken them and cut them in half and put them on pizza.
Yeah, we've taken them and cut them in half or quartered them and put them in our pizza too. Meatball pizza. Anyway, I've got one piece in here, and I'm just going to take about a half of a piece and chop this up in here. Spring is in the air. So I was talking to my brother and sister-in-law a while ago, and They watch our videos sometimes too. I'm trying to talk them into starting a channel because I call them Charles and Caroline because they remind me of the Ingalls. They have chickens, they have Shetland ponies, and I think they have a couple of baby calves right now. My sister-in-law, she's a cook. They live on a farm, kind of farm, and I just think that their channel would be fun to watch too. So I've got them started watching Chickens by the Lake and Life of a Mill Wife and other channels. I always try to recommend all of our channels to them, but they're very, very busy, so they don't have a chance to watch as often. But in the summertime, they also have they go around to festivals and fairs and stuff. They have a couple of vending trailers where they sell just all different kinds of things. You know how it is at festivals. You go and get your hot dogs, your brats, your chicken, and all that. They do that. They have a really popular couple of stands, and they do great with that. And I just thought it'd be fun for them to even video that. So I'm trying to talk them into that. So we'll see how that goes. All right, anyway, so far we've got our ground beef, our sausage, and our bread in here. Or in your case, you have a half a cup of breadcrumbs. I like to use the Italian breadcrumbs, but if you don't have the Italian, you can use the plain breadcrumbs. Okay, now to this I'm going to add, I've got my Sam's Club minced garlic here. You can use regular, real garlic. Well, this is real, but you know what I mean. Chopped up clove garlic. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of garlic in here. And I'm going to be doing about a half a teaspoon of pepper. You can do more if you like more pepper than that, but I'm doing about a half a teaspoon. You can also add some crushed red pepper flake to this if you like things with more of a heat bite to them. I'm going to put in about a half a teaspoon of the Himalayan pink salt. If you're using regular table salt, then you probably want to go ahead and use a teaspoon, but I find the Himalayan pink salt to be a little bit more salty than regular table salt. Babe, can you give me the garlic powder? I forgot to grab it. Okay, I've got my dried parsley here. I'm going to use about a teaspoon of dried parsley. If you're using fresh, I would chop up a couple of tablespoons of fresh parsley. But I'm just going to do about a teaspoon, about a teaspoon and a half of dried parsley. And I'm going to be doing about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Whoops. That's going in. And I've got my garlic powder here. I'm going to do about a tablespoon of my garlic powder. Okay, that ought to do it. Now I've got to open up my cheese. We buy this a lot, y'all. We go through this cheese like crazy because it's another one of those things that it's a little higher on salt, but it doesn't have a lot of carbs in it. Actually, it has no carbs in it, and I put it on a lot of stuff. Put it on my eggs because I'm not a big egg fan. Of course, I always use it on my pasta. I like it on just about everything. Sometimes I'll even sprinkle it on my salad. So I'm going to do a half a cup of this cheese. Whoops, comes out in clumps. I don't normally measure it, but I am for you guys today. So, about a half a cup of that. Because you want to make sure you save some so you can top your pasta with it. That's a must-have. All right. And the last thing here is we're going to add in a couple of eggs. You can always crack your eggs into a separate bowl if you're worried about getting a shell in it, or you're worried your egg may not be good, but there we go. All right. So we've got everything in our bowl now, and now it's time to mix. If you have gloves, you can put on gloves. I don't have any. I come from old school. We just made sure that our nails were cut and our hands were good and clean. And we're going to get to mixing. So I'm going to go wash my hands up real quick and I'll be back. Okay, my hands are all clean. I got my work surface area cleaned up a little bit. And we're going to get ready to mix our meatballs up. And while I was doing that, the chef was making us some no-carb croutons for our salad.
Yeah, all I did was spread butter on both sides and put garlic powder and onion powder and rubbed it in. And I turned the air fryer down to 250 for about 10 minutes and let it start drying out, and then I turned it back up to 300 for about 5 minutes, and I just broke it up in pieces, and they're hard, crunchy little croutons.
Yeah, crunchy little croutons for sure.
Because I'm one of the people that like croutons and like crackers.
But croutons have carbs, so he used our no-carb bread to do our croutons. So, all right. I don't think I need this cutting board anymore. I'm going to move it out of the way. I'll just stick this here. Like that. Okay. Now let's get to mixing, y'all. Mix, mix, mix. This is the fun part, unless you guys have an aversion to doing this, and then you, of course, wouldn't want to. You could take, if you have a mixer with, like, dough hooks on it, you could use that to mix this up. I'm sure that would work fine. I've just always done it by hand. You could even use a wooden spoon, but I don't think it's going to get it as mixed up as it needs to be. So, we just want to make a nice, moist meatball that's got some bite to it and a whole lot of flavor. So, not all of our recipes are perfect. Absolutely not. Everybody makes things better all the time. I know that. But I really love these meatballs. We've had a lot of meatballs from different restaurants and stuff. And we always come back to home because we always prefer our own meatballs. So, and we hope you guys enjoy them too. Now, some people, they'll bake their meatballs in the oven. I don't do that. Like I said before, I pan fry them to get them browned on all sides. And then I go in and I put them in my hot sauce and let them finish cooking in the sauce. That way it kind of helps flavor up your sauce too, and it lets a little bit of that sauce permeate those meatballs a little bit. And the more layers of flavor you have, the better your food's going to taste. So, we about got this all mixed up and incorporated. You can't really tell that there's bread in there by the time you get done because the bread kind of disintegrates into everything. But we've got the perfect meatball texture here. So, let's start forming some meatballs, shall we? I like to make them about, I don't know, I'd say about golf ball size, maybe a little bit bigger than a golf ball. You can make them as small or as big as you want to. But if you have a large family to feed, then you probably want to make them a little on the smaller side so more, people can have more meatballs on their plate. But just going to lightly roll these up, and I'm going to put them on my plate over here. But I should have showed you. I'll do another one though, and then I'll show you about the size I do. And these are great to freeze. Make extras, freeze them, have them on hand ahead of time. Just either vacuum seal them or put them in an airtight Ziploc bag. When I do this, I usually double bag them if I'm using Ziplocs. So that way there's less chance of them getting freezer burn or anything. But if you can see that, that's about the size of the meatballs that I usually make. So I'm gonna make one more here on camera. And then when I get done, I'm gonna stop and I'll bring you guys back once I get all the meatballs formed. But you can just smell all the seasonings in there, the garlic. And again, if you don't like garlic, leave it out. You don't have to put it in there. If there's anything that I've put on here in here that you don't like, you can omit it. If you don't want to use bread, you don't have to use bread. You can, for the moisture, I would say leave one of the eggs out and add a little bit of milk. That'll help give you your moisture too. So, all right, I've got 3 meatballs made. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these made, and when I'm done, we'll be right back. Okay, I got my big frying pan. I call it my chicken fryer. I've got my frying pan on the burner. I've got my burner on medium heat. You can see it right there. Medium. Okay, I've got my big, I call it my chicken fryer pan. I've got it on the burner. I've got my burner on medium heat right now. I did go ahead and have the chef spray the bottom of the pan with a little bit of nonstick cooking spray just because our pan's getting a little scratched up and stuff. I'm going to go on Wayfair here in a little bit. They're having a sale, and I'm going to look on there and see at some of their pans that they have for sale. But anyway, just letting the pan get heated up. You want to let your pan get a little bit hot, not scorching hot, but like I said, I've got it on medium. So when I put the meatballs in, I'm going to get a sizzle. So that's what we're waiting on. And as soon as it heats up, we're going to do the meatball. Okay, we've got our pan. We've got it heating up now. I'm just going to take the meatballs, and if you can hear that little sizzle, it's going to lay all my meatballs around in here. And this made 16 meatballs, but I still have some meat left over, so I could probably get 2 dozen meatballs this size out of what we made, which is a lot of meatballs. So you want to make sure that you don't overcrowd your pan, that you want to have room to move your meatballs around.
They look smaller on camera than they are in real life. How big around you think they are, probably?
They're between a golf ball and a baseball size.
Yeah, they're quite a bit bigger than a golf ball.
So
and they don't shrink a whole lot.
I think that's all I'm going to put in there right now. So I've got a few left. I'm going to put them over here on the table. And we're just going to let them sit here a minute. I like to move my pan around a little bit, just to make sure that they're not sticking or anything. These are going to be some good meatballs, you guys. Once I get them brown on all sides, I'm going to take them out and transfer them back to a clean plate. And we're going to commence to do the sauce. Once we get our sauce ready, then we're going to put our meatballs back in it. So I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to roll them over.
They've been over.
Okay, so now I've already flipped one over. I'm just going to go around and I'm going to flip these over. If you can see right here, this is all I'm doing.
And they smell so good already.
Yeah, you can smell all that Italian seasonings and the cheese.
And the sausage.
So I'm just flipping them over. If you have tongs, you can use tongs. Just be gingerly with them because you don't want to squish your meatballs. Nobody wants squishy balls. Okay, Penguin, get your mind out of the gutter and put it back in the sewer where it belongs. That's what I always say. That's what happens when you're raised with all brothers. So, especially you have a couple of brothers that were in the military. They get a potty mouth sometimes. For sure. Okay, guys, we're just gonna, I'm gonna let them brown on this side a little bit, and I'm just gonna toss them in my pan like this for a little bit so they get brown on all sides, and when we're done, we'll be back. Alright, if you guys can see, we've got our meatballs pretty much seared on all sides. So I just take the pan and do like this from time to time. And I'm getting ready to take them out now, transfer them to a clean plate, and then we're going to get started on our sauce. Okay, there's our 16 meatballs out of the pan. They're brown on all sides. They're not completely cooked all the way through. So now the chef is getting ready to do the sauce. And once the sauce is ready, we're going to transfer these meatballs back into the sauce so they can finish cooking. So, plus we have another little, well, I'm not going to say anymore. You'll just have to watch to the end of the video. So, we'll be back in just a little bit when we get ready to put these in the sauce. All right, we thought we'd just go ahead and show you. This is a skillet that I had the meatballs in. Had a lot of good brown bits in the bottom and just a tiny bit of fat. So we went ahead and kept it in there like we always do. We just weren't going to film this part because the video is long enough already. But we're doing it. So just wanted to show you guys. Chef put some onions in there, some some sliced up mushrooms, and a little bit of bell pepper.
And a little bit of tomato.
And just a little bit of diced tomato.
And some garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of that Italian seasoning. Once this cooks for just a few minutes, then I'm going to add our sauce to it.
So we shall be back. Okay, we've got all of our sauce in here. That's all the chef's little extras. And we've got about 1.5 jars of sauce in here. But if you have a bigger family, you want to go ahead and use 2 jars.
You guys are nice and chunky. Lots of vegetables.
Yeah, it's chunky. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's just little bubbling here and there. And that's what we want. We want our sauce to be really hot. So the chef's going to go ahead and start adding our meatballs back in. No particular order. Just going to drop them in.
Just be careful because it can come back up and splash you. That's why I'm doing one at a time.
Yeah, you don't want it to splatter you, that's for sure. Chef's got our noodles over there. Our noodles are done. So we got those done a little ahead of time. So he's putting them in, and I'm just going to toss them around in the sauce while he's doing that. There we go. Okay. 16 of meatballs. Just going to roll them around. Get them coated with the sauce a little bit. I think you guys get the idea. And what we're going to do after I get all of these rolled around and coated in the sauce, I'm going to put the lid on them. I've got my burner on medium-low, more to the low side. And we're going to let these simmer in this for about 30 minutes. Just to finish cooking the rest of the way and let all those flavors blend together. Smells really good in here, though.
Smells like you're in an Italian restaurant somewhere.
And you don't have to be easy with them. The meatballs are done enough that they're not going to break apart or anything like that. These meatballs are pretty resilient. They're moist and tender, but yet they can stand up to the sauce.
And if you're thinking the sauce is really too thick, once it sits and cooks for another half an hour with the fresh vegetables I added to it, it's gonna gain a little more liquid. So.
Yeah. But you don't have, you can even just use plain sauce. You don't have to put any extra additives in it.
Yeah, that's the way we like it.
Yeah,
so
we like mushrooms and onions and stuff like that.
You can use completely homemade from scratch, or you can use completely just out of a can.
It's a lot more red than it looks on camera, I think, because of the lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
But, all right, like I said, we're going to cover this. We're going to let this sit and simmer for about 30 minutes. We're going to come over and stir them every once in a while, and we'll be back. Okay, guys, our 30 minutes is up, and we're gonna give these meatballs a go around. Get our sauce all stirred up. If you can see, it's more red now. Get this all blended. These are so good.
And her meatballs are usually pretty sturdy, unlike the kind you buy that's frozen you cook that fall apart half the time. These don't. Most of the time.
You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about them falling apart. See, there's a little bit of, you can see there's a little bit of oil in there. But that's because we used ground beef and not ground chuck. And also, we had some sauce that we had used. We had a little bit of extra in the freezer. So went ahead and thawed that out and added that in there. But once you get it all mixed up, it's just fine. And you can't taste it. It's just more flavor. That's all. It's just more flavor. So we're going to get this plated up. And because we are so hungry. And we'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all plated up and ready. Okay, guys, there it is. That is our low-carb carbonara noodles with homemade meatballs. And see if I can show you the whole thing here. This is the chef's salad that he made for us. It's not a chef's salad, but the chef's salad. It's got cherry tomatoes, onions, cheddar cheese, his homemade no-carb croutons with some iceberg lettuce. Pretty much no carbs in this bowl, just a couple. And then
they're good carbs.
Yeah, they're good carbs. And not sure what kind of dressing we're going to use. I usually use ranch.
I've been using that lemon vinaigrette I bought. Yeah,
the chef likes the new lemon vinaigrette. So this is our meal with our yummy, yummy meatballs.
But if H is watching, there's less than 50 carbs in that pile right there.
Yeah, there is, In this whole bowl of pasta, sauce, meatballs, and everything, there's not even 50. There's about 17 in the noodles. And maybe 10 in the... I'd say there's probably about 35 carbs in this whole bowl. And you can't beat that, guys. So I'm just going to cut one of our meatballs open. You can see the inside of the meatball. It's all steamy. That steam coming off. Yum, yum. So delicious. And I got to take a bite. It's so hot. So, so hot. And I got to have a bite. You want a bite, Chef?
No, not yet.
Not yet. He's busy doing something.
For another video we're working on.
Yeah, for another. He's already working on our second video for the day. So I'm going to take a bite. Hang on, guys. Gotta blow it off. Oh, my goodness. So good, y'all.
Like I said, even if you're not into low carb and you're using regular spaghetti, regular croutons,
Yeah.
still a great Italian meal and it tastes better than what you can get at a restaurant.
Yeah, so just replace your, if you're not doing low carb, just replace your noodles with regular spaghetti. And instead of doing the no carb bread in the meatballs, you just use a half a cup of Italian breadcrumbs or plain breadcrumbs, whatever you have on hand. But man, this is so good. Can you imagine not losing weight? I mean, can you imagine actually being able to lose weight eating stuff like this? I mean, this is so good. It's not like dieting at all. Because nobody likes that word dieting. It's just we're cutting carbs out where we can and making pretty decent choices, I would say. But I hope you guys try this. You know, we never bring you a recipe if we don't stand behind it. And this is one that we definitely stand behind, and we hope you guys give it a try. So we are very hungry, and we are going to commence to eat our food. Right, Chef?
Yep.
Anything you want to say?
Nope.
He's so busy. All right, guys, we will be back in another video, and it won't take us long. And yes, you'll be seeing us again here real soon. So you guys have a great night, and we will see you in our next video.
Enjoy, guys.
Bye, guys. Bon appetit.